Welcome to Gifts in Strange Wrapping Paper, a podcast where we explore the transformative power of life's unexpected challenges. I'm your host, Kelly Getz, an intuitive educator and leadership coach. My journey into holistic practices began after our stillbirth of our second son in 2007. A profoundly devastating experience that I now lovingly refer to as a gift in strange wrapping paper. This pivotal moment revealed my life's purpose to teach and empower others to heal with grace, love, and gratitude, and to live their best lives now. Join me as we delve into the stories of resilience, healing, and personal growth, uncovering the hidden gifts within life's most challenging times.
Well, this is exciting. Here we are recording another show for Gifts in Strange Wrapping Paper. And would you believe I have now recorded myself talking in the forest, not once, not twice, 3 times. And each time I've done it, I failed to hit the record button. So now I have a new situation. I'm short on time. So I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. I've had the opportunity these last few days to be volunteering at an event that I personally love and I always find near and dear to my heart. And I'm reminded of all the ways that it is so critical and important to keep learning and growing from not only ourselves, but from other people's wisdom. It's so important to be reminded of the truth that while we can all react to our situations and circumstances, it is so important that we don't stay in that reaction and that we learn to respond from a place of leadership. You know, it's easy to look outside of ourselves and blame somebody around us for whatever's going on in our lives. It's easy to do that. Because when we do that, we don't have to take responsibility and we don't have to grow in the same way. And when we're blaming somebody else, we're really not accomplishing anything good. First and foremost, we're creating a separation and distance between us and that other person. That's never healthy. There's plenty of separation happening right now. You know, recently I posted something on my Facebook, something I never would post on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. I had a moment of reaction and I was rushed on short on time. I rarely even post on my personal Facebook page. And here I am. I posted something that I was triggered by. I didn't pause to dig in and research, and I didn't even like the question that I posed or how I posed it. And I forgot about it. Now it's a good 10 days later, and I'm walking with a friend, and I've since posted another little thing. This time I posted about ducks and how these 3 ducks flew into my, actually, was it 3? Yeah, 3 ducks flew into my garage. Actually, it was 4 ducks, excuse me. 4 ducks flew into my garage, and 3 quickly turned away, and 1 hovered in the corner, 1 scared female duck. And so as I'm walking with my neighbor, she said, "Oh man, your Facebook post really blew up." And I said, "Oh, you mean my Facebook post about the ducks?" "No, not your Facebook post about the ducks. The other one." And I'm like, "The other one? What was the other one?" And I was like, "Oh no, what did I post?" Yes, I reacted to the news and I posted something about the news. And normally I would take the time to research, ask questions, learn a little bit more. But on this particular subject, I had already done that. So I was in a state of reaction and I dumped the post. I went back to look at it and I went, oh man, the woman that posted this in that moment in time was in a place of reaction. She wasn't thinking clearly. She wasn't responding clearly. In fact, look what she wrote. Why are they doing this to us? There's something on that line. And I thought, oh man, look at all the other reactions I have now incited on this one Facebook post. Something I never do. In fact, I don't really like to put triggering things on Facebook. I like to post pictures of my families when I do it. Really do. I go back and look at it. I really like that the pictures pop up years later. I like to put inspirational things or ways of growing. And right now I am seeing a coyote. Ooh, that is fascinating. There is a coyote that just crossed my path. At least I think it's a coyote. It's certainly not a dog. There's been a lot of them howling here at night. So I'll segue. And I'm just walking cautiously, which is kind of fascinating. I'm talking about being triggered, and that coyote, who could be a little bit alarming to me or could hurt one of these little dogs that people are walking around, that coyote has caused me to pause, to stop in my track. So when we see something in the news or we hear something that somebody else is saying that is triggering or opposing, the most important thing that we can do in that moment is to pause, just like I'm pausing for that coyote, is to take a pause, to take a breath and notice what's going on for you inside your body. If we start with our body's going to give us signals. You might notice that you're feeling tension. You might notice a certain area of your body that you're feeling tension. Right now, as I'm even walking back to my house, I'm feeling a sense of cautiousness because I'm wondering if these coyotes are howling in the middle of the night, where's the rest of them? So I'm pausing and I'm observing. I'm observing the cautiousness I'm feeling in my body. I'm noticing, a little difference in my breath. I'm reminding my nervous system to relax and take some good deep breaths. So I'm feeling all aspects of my body. I've noticed that I'm walking slower than I was. I'm noticing the cars that are driving by. I'm noticing that I'm no longer walking through my nature, listening to the birds and seeing the trees. I'm now walking amongst the trees in my neighborhood. And as I look outside of myself, no longer focused on those internal signals, now I'm just noticing the beauty of nature and noticing how all the spring flowers are starting to pop up. And I'm coming back to a place of peace and joy and even excitement, which is making me want to walk faster. When there's a trigger of any kind, like the trigger of a news feed that suddenly came through that I reacted to, more importantly than passing the trigger on, which I'm very capable of doing, and I did, I own that, is to take a deep breath and notice, what is it about that that is causing you some sort of internal conflict? What is it about this thing that somebody said or that somebody did or that you noticed, like the coyote that I just noticed, that is having you feel a little bit of tension on the inside? And usually that when we are having some sort of reaction, usually it's because there's a fear of loss. There is a fear of we're never going to have that thing that we were chasing after. There's a fear of the unknown. And be mindful. What is just getting triggered inside you right now? When you're being triggered by the newsreel, or you're being triggered by what somebody else says or somebody else's opinion, what's happening within you? What is that fear you're connecting with? I was reminded yesterday while volunteering from Tad Shanky of Tony Robbins' 3 main fears that lead to people suffering. It's the fear of loss, losing something that you thought you had, the fear of having less, that while the problem might be solved, you'll have less than you did before, or the fear that you'll never have what you desired, or perhaps your kids won't have what you desired for them. Fill in the blanks. Or maybe for you, it's what your parents won't have, that they'll never have. So when we're suffering, we're actually in a state of fear, which is very different from pain. I decided I should look up what pain versus suffering meant. And every time I was exploring this concept, I was like, oh man, I've been in a bad place. So pain is a physical sensation. It's some sort of signal in your body indicating that an event has occurred. Suffering, on the other hand, is the interpretation of the event. What you believe about the event, the meaning you give about the event, your thoughts, your interpretation. And the thing about beliefs is typically beliefs are learned well before you're 12 years of age. Recently, I heard a functional doctor say 7 years of age. So they happen pretty young while we are watching our parents, and we're making interpretations about that situation or thing that's occurring in our lives at that point in time. The other thing to note about suffering is that when we are in this state of fear and we are suffering, we're actually resisting whatever the pain is, whatever the situation is, because we're focused on a belief. And that belief may or may not be reality, may or may not be truth. On some level, when we are in a state of suffering, like I have been on and off in my nervous system for the last couple months, or you may have been in the last couple months as you're reacting to the news, you're reacting to different things coming to a close, coming to an end. You might be experiencing a sense of fear of loss for yourself, having less for your kids, or a fear of never reaching that dream or goal that you hoped for. And so if you have been in a state of suffering, on some level, there's a part of you and a part of me that is viewing the situation as if it shouldn't be happening at all. In my case, my husband's layoff, there's a part of me that is resisting the very fact that, yes, that has happened. Or the part of me that is resisting that my natural tendency is to go into workaholic mode to solve problems for other people, whatever it might be. That very thing is a part of me that is resisting my reality. And some belief deep in my subconscious mind has been triggered and is driving that. When that fear takes off in the body, we have something else going on. What's happening in the body is now our nervous system falls out of its normal sympathetic, or excuse me. So now physically what's happening is we have two divisions of our autonomic nervous system that is responsible for regulating the involuntary bodily functions. So you might be saying to yourself, okay, I think I've been suffering. I think I've been suffering around this situation that's happening with my health, or this situation of I've been watching the news too much, or this situation of perhaps my adult child, his PhD program got canceled. Whatever it is that you're focusing on, that you're resisting to be real or part of reality, the fact of the matter is it's happening. There's some part of you in a state of fear. So when we're in that state of fear, your nervous system is going to fall into the sympathetic response. This is the response that is primarily involved in fight and flight. It is preparing you to have some sort of awareness that there is some sort of stress or danger coming. And oftentimes when there's stress or danger coming, it's going to be your basics. Do I have a roof over my head? Do I have food over my head? Can I protect my family? Can I make a living? Whatever it is for you. So when we are in survival mode, in that fight or flight response, we're activating one of our energy systems that we call triple warmer. Again, it's an energy system in your body that governs different stress responses. And we are falling out of the ability to have our parasympathetic nervous system allow us to rest, digest, or conserve energy. You might fall into overthinking, stinking thinking. You might fall into just having a sense of feeling anxiousness in your body. You might forget on some level to take those nice deep breaths. You might stop taking care of yourself. You might start overeating. You might start complaining. You might start trying to fix other things that are out of your control. I know I've been guilty for multiple things, right? Even posting on Facebook in a place of reaction was me in a sympathetic stress response, quickly posting, forgetting that I did it, getting myself balanced, getting myself energized, getting myself grounded. All important things is to recognize when you've fallen out of balance and bringing yourself back into balance. When really, on some level, there's been a part of me and a part of you that will pick up the pieces. You'll raise your vibration, perhaps listening to a great song. You'll seek outside tools, or you'll go to a friend who has maybe more insight on the subject, or maybe that friend can just get above that challenge that you're experiencing and look down and say, you know what? Maybe there's another way you could look at this. That's what's great about having great friends with great counsel. In fact, recently I was thinking how blessed women are, that women actually have those friends that they can consult with, that they can discuss their concerns, their problem with, and usually the other woman will listen. And after they've listened for a while, they'll kind of assess it all, and they might give you another perspective or another way to look for an answer. I don't know if men have that same type of nurturing ability to work through problems. Now, the other thing I want to circle back to, now that we recognize that if you are in a state of fear on any level, fear of loss, fear of having less, or fear of never having what you desired, and then I look at, wow, a coyote crossed my path. Isn't that interesting? I don't usually see coyotes in the middle of the morning. I have heard them in the evening. In fact, there's more and more that I'm hearing of late. But I decided, even though I don't study animal totems or the meanings of animals, I do know that nature often is healing us, either through its grounding energy of being on the earth in our bare feet, or getting outside and pausing and looking at the sky, looking at the trees, looking at the birds. When I have been in a rut in my deepest places, even going back to the first episode that I talked about, when I've been in a rut and I've gotten myself outside in nature, usually nature shows up peaceful. Usually nature brings me some sort of balance. Today, I was brought a coyote crossing my path. And at first, the same thing that has been going on in my body and my friend's body and my friends' bodies and people that I work with, that fight, flight, freeze response kicked in. I looked at that coyote and I thought, oh, is that coyote going to stop, turn towards me, run towards me? What is that coyote going to do? And part of my nervous system said, get quiet. Just breathe, get quiet, don't be noticed. Part of me kept walking slowly so I didn't kind of create waves. Until I felt like I was out of harm's way, I started going back into a really calm parasympathetic nervous system. I started looking at nature, and you heard my breathing slow down and calm down. Well, I looked up what coyotes crossing your path can be considered. And one of the Navajo traditions that I read about is that often a coyote crossing your path is considered a negative omen, suggesting that you should turn back. Well, one of the things I recognize that I need to turn back is I need to step out of the state of suffering where I'm focused on the fear of loss, less or never, and shift and focus on the possibilities, the creativity, what I'm capable of achieving and doing, and what's great. What can I be grateful for? The other thing that I learned about coyotes is that they can symbolize good luck or trickery. They can also symbolize adaptability. And what I love the most as I looked this up is that a coyote is an invitation for self-reflection and transformation. And really, this weekend where I am focusing on serving 2,000 other people over the course of 6 days, it's all about transformation and self-reflection. Where can they bring in more health and vitality? And health and vitality means emotionally, physically, mentally. What are you eating? What toxins are in your environment and how to release them? And so I don't think it's quite the accident that the coyote crossed my path. And it's not quite the accident that you're listening to me talk about the coyote. And so I'm asking you, where do you need to reflect or transform? Is your nervous system triggered and connecting to some sort of fear of loss, less, or never having? And when your nervous system is connected to those things, are you bringing those fears to your friends and loved ones, triggering their sympathetic nervous system? So now they're in a state of reaction. Or are you bringing things of gratitude, appreciation, love, support? What are you bringing to your situation? And more importantly, what are you passing on? I confess, when I dropped that post on Facebook, I was definitely in a fight, flight, freeze response. A part of me was in fear. I dropped a question that was fear-minded. And as I read everybody's responses to it and how it was triggering everybody else's sympathetic nervous system, I realized that's not the energy I want to focus on. What I want to focus on is connection. Connecting to you, connecting to others. What I want to focus on are tools and techniques that I learned a long time ago when I was at one of my lowest of lows, grieving, feeling lost, and I made a conscious choice to say, let's heal with grace and gratitude. What I want to focus on is that we are all connected. We are all one. and that we have the opportunity to bring love to any resistance that we're feeling in our personal lives and the lives of others. And focusing on things that we think we're lacking rather than opportunities to grow and evolve isn't going to serve us. It's not going to serve me. Today at lunch, when I really started thinking about, this thing that has triggered me so much that threw me into fight flight with a layoff, I started thinking about it. And for the first time, my husband and I really got to sit down and talk about it. And I was like, when this happened earlier in my marriage, I wasn't concerned by it. It didn't give me any trouble at all. I actually remember looking at all of the positive opportunities that leaving this one very stressful company was going to create by stepping into a new position. It wasn't until we had kids that same situation triggered me. Because in that moment in time, I had given up my job. I was no longer working, and I now had a child to raise. And so it hit me in a different place. And then I started thinking, what else is possible? Is it possible that there was a job loss in my family of origin when I was a little kid? And I remember there was. And it started to occur to me that this situation that has spun me around, and perhaps the situation that is spinning you around right now that you are reacting to from a place of fear rather than love, may not be the current situation at all. In fact, it's probably coming from a belief and a behavior that I witnessed and that I was aware of when I didn't have the tools or the ability to process the information. For the first time, I started looking at the situation differently and went, this isn't about now at all. This is just a pattern of reaction that was created when I was a little kid and I didn't have the tools. So what's the antidote? Well, Tony would say the antidote would be just to see the situation for what it is. He would say, find something to appreciate about it. See it. Not worse, not better. I also liked Tad Schenke's ideas. Appreciation, joy. Stop focusing on yourself. Focus on somebody else that you can support. Do something to learn or grow. Love, give. Learn to be grateful. And I thought, well, if I go back to my first practice, anything that you resist will persist, is what I first learned 25 years ago. And then I would hear it again from my next mentor, my first mentor being Jeff Page, my second mentor being Darren Weissman, who would say, what you resist, give it love. Because when you give it love, you send the vibration of love to that thing that you're resisting. You create space, you create harmony, and slowly, whatever that resistance is, it starts to heal. So I'm going to choose love. And I'm going to send love out to you and to everything that I might be resisting. Whether it's my spouse, our current situation, ways that I would like things to be different, and just accept it for what it is. Recognizing it doesn't have to be seen or worse than it is. And I can find things to be grateful for in the moment. So I'm definitely thankful for each and every one of you for showing up here. And whatever it is that you're going through, if you are feeling anxious, nervous, and you feel like your nervous system is off, start giving yourself some simple love. Look in the mirror, say, I love you. Send love to the people that you're resisting. And if that's too hard, Send them figure eights. Just imagine making figure eights so that you can find some common ground to communicate easily. And I love Ho'oponopono, simply saying, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Which is exactly what I did at lunch for my husband, who deserved my love. Have a great day with infinite love and gratitude.